Once your case study is defined in terms of the cases selected and the unit of analysis to investigate, you can initiate your data collection process, which represents a core step for the whole research method. When collecting data, it is important to follow three basic principles. First, use multiple sources of evidence. This process is called data triangulation, and is essential to make sure you provide evidence for your statements stemming from a qualitative research process. Second, create a case study database through the use of notes, documents, and tables. Always keep in mind that even though you might not be dealing with quantitative figures and numbers, you're performing a scientific research made of qualitative information. Therefore, you must rigorously collect and store such information in a well-organized database. Carefully archiving all your sources will also come in handy when interpreting results. And third, maintain a chain of evidence. This third principle holds mainly for a reliability issue. You need to be able to trace inferences backwards, thus enhances the soundness of your findings and related discussion and conclusions. Consistently with the qualitative nature of case study as a research method, which broadly aims at describing and interpreting human-related phenomena, the main way to gather data and information in a case study is by means of interviews. Interviewing means knowing the world by asking informants to answer open-ended questions about their own experiences. There are a few recommendations for designing and conducting the interviewing process. The choice of the informants should be aimed at gathering different perspectives on a topic. Before interviewing, always collect all the available material on companies and informants to avoid loss of time for you and the informants themselves. That material can give you new ideas before and during the interviews. Choose questions carefully, as they should depend on the research question. It is also important to check the informant's background and ask for personal experiences and narratives. So, a quick and dirty suggestion for performing the interview could be, let them talk. When conducting interviews, you may choose one of these two different ways. You may take a functional or positivistic approach, where you as interviewer often redirect the interviewee towards the study research questions and propositions. This way, results will better adhere to your original research aim, but you will probably lose possible collateral findings that may emerge from the free speech. Or you may follow a more interpretive stance, asking direct questions and letting the informant talk. This style recognizes how spontaneous deviations are important and is consistent with an exploratory standpoint. Also, keep in mind that recording is needed for transcription, which will become the key source of evidence in your case. But you always need to ask the informant first for permission. Once the interview has ended, turning off the recorder and summarizing or commenting on the interview often adds useful information to what surfaced before. There are 4 different kinds of interviews you can design. Standardized interviews are designed to elicit information using a set of predetermined questions that are expected to stimulate the respondent's thoughts, opinions, and attitudes about study-related issues. In an unstandardized interview, instead, the only question asked by the researcher to the informant is the main research question. The interviewers must then go with the flow and develop, adapt, and generate questions and follow-up probes appropriate to the given situation and the central purpose of the investigation. Although an unstandardized interview may let many unexpected points emerge, the risk that the interviewer finds herself or himself at the informant's mercy is pretty high. Semi-standardized or semi-structured interviews involve the implementation of a number of predetermined questions used as an organized starting point to drive the discussion. But interviewers are also permitted to probe beyond the answers to their prepared questions, thus making additional points emerge. Semi-structured interviews often represent a nice mediation between standardized and unstandardized designs. Last, case studies may resort to focus groups as an attempt to learn about the life structure of group participants. During a focus group, the interviewers strive to learn through discussion about conscious, semi-conscious, and unconscious psychological and social-cultural characteristics and processes among various groups. Although possibly highly informative, focus groups require a significant maturity on the side of the interviewer to be successfully orchestrated.